What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Video Game Fight School channel. Thank you very much for tuning in. One of Xbox's future releases, called Avowed, right now has made its way into the conversation. Apparently, there was a statement by Jez Corden talking about how they have successfully moved the game into Unreal Engine 5.3. Now, this has also stirred up more conversation in the community because apparently some people are looking forward to this game more than some others, and they already have, in their minds, some level of just waiting for disappointment. I can't blame anybody. The industry has been really strange. Sometimes you may be expecting a game and then you hear a story saying, your game's not going to come out in the year that you thought it would. The developers probably need some time. They want, maybe they need a few more months to polish things up, tie things up. And so whenever you hear something like, oh, they've decided to move engines, it already signals that there might be something that may cause a delay. In this context today, I wanted to go ahead and maybe provide what I think is a developer's perspective on how something like this is not necessarily something that will cause a delay for the game. Now, keep in mind that the game may still be delayed. I'm not saying that the game is not going to be delayed. I don't know what they're doing with the game. However, what I'm talking about is saying the way this particular news was curated, if you look at it very carefully, you will realize that there is no cause for alarm. So what are we seeing here? Well, they already showed us Avowed. We saw it at one of the Xbox showcases. We saw some gameplay. So you can already tell that the game has already moved very, very well in advance into its development cycle. The move to Unreal Engine 5.3 is more than likely what I think is potentially a management decision or something that they had probably been looking at doing or planning to move to an Unreal Engine version that is much more stable, battle tested, and ensuring that that engine got tied up in terms of all its functionality as good as it possibly could be, available. And now that Unreal Engine 5.4 is out, it's still the engine that, yes, they've basically made a full release of, but we're more than likely going to be seeing, a few more, modifications and updates and iterations with some of the systems going on. So it's probably not advisable, or I would say no one would advise you to jump into Unreal Engine 5.4 just yet with your full or at least advanced developed games. However, a move to 5.3 seems to have some sensibility behind it. Even though 5.3 has its qualms and has its issues, there are still some benefits in terms of, things like characters, skeleton, maybe a few functionalities here and there. But honestly, Unreal Engine 4 is a very strong and preferred engine when you're trying to achieve or attain some goals. 5.3 just seemingly has some new functionality that developers can leverage. And I think this is probably why the developers have gone this direction. Now, what this means is, when this particular Jez Corden report went out, where it says Avowed has moved to Unreal Engine 5.3 with the help from the Coalition and Xbox Tech, it just meant that they got resources to be able to make the move and test it very well to ensure everything was working as intended. Usually what these development firms would do is, as they're making their games, they'll have all of that stuff inside of a repository that's accessible to developers working on different areas of the game, and then they create a branch. So basically a copy. So that copy, then they'll go into Unreal Engine. They'll take the files that from the previous version, and then they'll basically right click and say, change engine version. Do you want me to show you guys how it works? Let me show you guys how it works. All right, here is an Unreal Engine project. This is a folder. I just created an Unreal Engine 5.1 or 5.2 file. I can't show you my Unreal Engine library, guys. Nope, it's not time yet. When the time comes, I will be happy to show you. Now, this is the file itself. This is the major file. If I right click on this file and I go to show more options, because Windows 11 makes you do that, you can switch your Unreal Engine versions. I click this, and basically it's a 5.1 project, and it can ask me, do you want to switch to 5.2, 3, or 4? I select the version and I click OK. Now, it is as simple as clicking it, but it's not necessarily as simple as making the switch entirely. I think that's basically the conversation that we're having here in terms of this move, right? Because when you go ahead and when you think about it, is it just a simple matter of just saying, oh, we're just going to switch ending versions? Yes, but then at the same time, you have to also ask yourself, is everything going to work as intended when that is actually done? And that's where you see the help from Coalition and Xbox Tech, because within this Avowed project, there are probably going to be a whole lot of things that they would have had to go ahead and adjust for the new engine. They would have had to make sure would actually build the game files and ensure that the game build works on the new engine version. This is basically what it is that they've done. The development team is still focusing on what they're doing more than likely, or maybe they were working hand in hand and getting assistance because, not only are you going to be converting, all kinds of stuff, man. I mean, you're going to be moving a whole huge code base because it's a full AAA game. However, once it's said and done, because it's a separate branch that people are going to be working on, it's not going to affect development. And that branch, basically everybody says, hey man, this branch is working. Then any changes that they probably were making in terms of files, maybe levels or textures or whatever, they can carefully move now and then pretty much tighten that branch. And now they have an Unreal Engine 5.3 branch. The game, what's the name of this Dark Souls shooter game? I already forgot the name that came out. The second part of it came out, Remnant Part 2. I think the developers also made this particular switch as well. So in terms of the way Obsidian is actually running things, it's not really that much of a difference, folks. And I wouldn't worry about it. I saw some people saying, man, maybe this is going to mean that the game is going to get delayed. I don't think that's going to be what would delay the game if the game is going to get delayed. I think other things could be things that delay the game. It could even be that they may find some, huge challenge with the new engine version as they continue to build on it. And then that would probably delay the game, but it's not this particular shift. And I'm hoping that doesn't happen, by the way. I'm just throwing that out there. I mean, that's what they have technical engineers for and, developers that actually solve and resolve these things. So I just wanted to pitch my 2 cents in. Thanks so much for watching the video. Appreciate you guys' time and audience. Hopefully we'll talk pretty soon in another one. Peace out.